Hello, Tomas. How are you? Thank you so much for joining this project. How are you doing today?
Hello, Rafael. Good to talk to you again. Great to reconnect. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. We have, for those watching, joining us, we have Tomas Garcia, who's representing Spain in this project. And the idea is to create a space to invite international experts in business and in different markets around the world to talk about the cultural and communication aspects of doing business in their countries. So, as I've done with the other interviewees, we have 7 questions, and we'll begin now. So, Tomas, for the first question, tell us a little bit more about you and what kind of work that you do, please.
Sure, happy to do that. So, yeah, I'm Spanish. I was actually born and raised in Madrid, in Spain. And then I studied university here. Then, about 21 years old, I started traveling and living abroad. So, I've actually, important maybe for this interview, actually, important to know that I've lived and worked for quite a few years in all 5 continents, in quite a few countries. So, I think I do have a pretty international, global profile, global experience. But anyway, I came back to Madrid a few years ago, and what I do now is very much related to renewable energy. So even though I am a physicist by education, I did some research, scientific research for some years back years ago, and then I did strategy consulting. But since about 15 years, I'm actually very much involved in renewable energy. What I do now is financial advisor. So I support our clients to transact renewable energy assets. So if someone wants to buy or sell or finance a solar PV plant, a wind power plant, a battery plant, I do that. It's a lot of fun. It's very related to renewable energy and decarbonization. Somehow I'm trying to help a little bit the world to become a little better and a little greener.
Fantastic. And absolutely, this is an industry that's super vital, very important now, and will be for so many more years. So it's great that you're involved
Yeah.
in the day to day, and you know how this business works. So that's fantastic. And I know you're very international. You live abroad, so it's great that you bring this international perspective. You understand how an international person might think and how they relate or the challenges they might face when they actually come to the Spanish market, which is what we'll talk about. So thanks so much, Tomas. For the second question, what are some things you recommend people to do or say when first meeting or speaking with someone with whom they might initiate a new project or business opportunity together in Spain? And also, what should someone not do or say when they arrive to Spain and connect with their clients or partners?
Yeah, so I think to a certain extent, of course, it's difficult when you first meet someone, but you have to make an effort to try to build some personal rapport by talking or dealing with something perhaps not directly related to whatever business you're trying to do with that person. So I think it's in Spain is perfectly okay to ask a little bit about their personal situation, what do they like, where they are from, what did they do for holidays or past or the last weekend or something. So you start the conversation maybe just at the beginning, a few minutes talking at a personal level. So try to establish that bit of a personal connection, personal rapport, and then once you build that, then you start talking about business. The one thing perhaps not to do is, for example, getting into politics. That's a very dangerous area, so try to avoid comments about position yourself in one or the other part of the political spectrum. That's perhaps something to be kept in mind, at least for the first conversation.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, the breaking the ice is crucial, like you said, a moment to break the ice, talk about other things. And yeah, other people I've interviewed as well, they said politics. In some countries it's okay, in some countries are not. So it's good that you point out that we should avoid in Spain for the first
Yeah,
initial contact, avoid talking about politics.
the one topic perhaps which is easy is football. I know that's a topic particularly close to you, Rafael.
Right.
Yeah, so everyone more or less follows football, even if you're not a football fan. It's a big thing in the country in Spain, so you kind of know about it. So yeah, sometimes it's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, I've lived in Spain when I was in university, and the icebreaker was always about football. I was always talking about Super Bowl with my Spanish friends. So very good advice. Thank you, Tomas. Moving to the third question, we also recognize that it's important to have a deeper cultural understanding of a local place when doing business there. So what cultural aspects might be considered when doing business in Spain?
Cultural aspects. Yeah, I will perhaps point out the food. Um, you know, Spain, when it comes to personal relationships, also within a business environment, it sometimes happens around, food. So very often meetings are lunch business, even dinner business, business dinners, or even for breakfast. So I myself, for example, I'm having dinner tonight with some investors that we recently closed a transaction with, and it's a business dinner, but it revolves around food if you want. And so it's a perfect excuse to, of course, have lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, but at the same time, talk about business, but also create that, as I said, connection outside a formal office, if you want. So, perhaps it would be helpful to learn a little bit about the food in the country, to make, one or two comments around that.
Yes, absolutely, and also the wine. I mean, you have different. The gastronomy is very good in Spain. So, yes, thank you. Very very clear. Moving to the fourth question: if someone does not speak Spanish, what do you suggest a foreigner to be able to do to communicate more successfully with locals in Spain and to be able to do business there? They don't speak any Spanish.
Yeah. So I think Spain has come a long way in terms of internationalizing themselves and learning other languages. And we're perfectly aware that Spanish is widely spoken in Latin America and in Spain, but that's it. Everywhere else, people don't necessarily learn Spanish. So we will, of course, not get offended at all if someone tries to do business here and they don't speak Spanish. So I think English would, of course, be a good option. And I think especially the younger generations, they're becoming more and more proficient in English. So if you don't speak Spanish, but you can communicate yourself well enough in English, I'm pretty sure your Spanish counterpart will also manage. So you can actually have an okay conversation in English, absolutely.
And Tomas, just building on that, are there, for example, if it's a Brazilian going there, he doesn't speak English, or if it's somebody else, are there interpretation services, obviously, they can look for, or is there any services, partners, companies that can help with this translation, just in case English is not the connection between the foreigner?
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but I don't see them very widely used, to be honest. I haven't come across business situations in which we actually had an interpreter. Even the Chinese people that I'm having a dinner with tonight, they will speak English. In the case of the Brazilians, you can easily speak a language called Portuñol, which is a mixture of Portuguese and Spanish, and that works for both parties.
Absolutely. I know very well the Portuñol. No, very good. No, and in the end of the day, we say a lot in these interviews, English is the business language. But we have to look at these options and understand. But it's interesting you mentioned the increase in proficiency of the English language there in Spain. So it's good to know for the foreigner to understand there are many people that will speak English as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Tomas. The fifth question: to get better results in visibility or sales, what are your recommendations as the most effective way to do marketing for products or services in Spain? This is a lot to do more of what channels to use, what kind of platforms do people use mostly, if you're thinking as a foreigner coming to the market.
Yeah. So obviously the same sales channels, you're going to call them this way, that apply in other countries will also be applicable in Spain and will be effective. However, perhaps I would say in Spain, the word to mouth is particularly important. So in my case, when I find clients, I want to try to find clients. Yes, of course, we do LinkedIn posts, we publish articles, we do media appearances, but in the end, people connect with you, call you, and hire you because they know you or they know someone that knows you. So, being able to somehow foster that personal connection through friends, through business contacts, or try to make it viral if you want. But it's word of mouth. Well, it's not only word of mouth, but it's the most effective, at least what I see in Spain.
Great. And just finishing off the social platform, for example, which ones are the most used in Spain that people use in Facebook, Instagram, because a lot of companies come down and they create their company pages in these platforms. Which are the most used, perhaps, in Spain?
I would say, from a professional standpoint, LinkedIn. I see that's the one most used. But of course, we also do see others like Instagram in particular. TikTok, of course, is becoming quite popular among the youngest people. I think those are the ones.
No, clear. Very, very good. Thank you, Thomas. The sixth question has more to do with empathy. Like you already mentioned from the beginning, building rapport, that's empathy that's needed in a business connection. So if a business partner in Spain wants to get to know you better, invites you to a local coffee, tea place, or even do a happy hour, a virtual happy hour, what kinds of topic do people in Spain like to talk about that's not business related? So any other topics create this initial connection that you mentioned already?
I think any topic will do, perhaps avoiding politics, as I said before. If I was gonna say something I'm not very good at, which is the celebrities and all that kind of stuff. People love to talk about those in Spain. I am particularly not very knowledgeable, to be honest, so I can practice, but it would be a little more difficult for foreigners. I think any topic will do, honestly. But as you said, it's important to kind of take that away of the business conversation of the office, go to a social place, go to a bar, and of course, if you can do it in person, much better. As much as possible, try to have those personal interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going to remind everybody again, football is something that people love to talk about. It's more of the building the connection, the personal connection, the human connection, to avoid talking about business off the bat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Great, Thomas. The last question we have is, what one word should everyone learn to say in Spanish in the context in Spain, and why should they say this word? Well, they should learn this word.
Oof. Perhaps one which is easy one and would make a positive direct impact in the beginning is to say encantado de conocerte, which means nice to meet you. So of course you can say hello, which is hola, but that's pretty easy. But if you tell someone if I was in Spanish and someone from a foreign country, which I wouldn't expect to learn this, they come and they say at the beginning, encantado de conocerte, I will be like, wow, I will be positively impressed. This guy is actually nice, is pleased to meet me. And he or she can even tell me in Spanish. So I think that will, cause a good impression right at the beginning. Very easy. Encantado de conocerte.
No, it's a great word. Thank you. That's a really good word.
It's actually 3 words.
It could be a word or a phrase. So if it's but it's a great word. I actually am surprised you mentioned that. I wasn't expecting that, but it's a really powerful word. I learned as well when I lived there, so it's very good. It's more of a local, and the people really appreciate that. So
yeah, exactly.
Great, perfect, Tomas. We come to the end, but I really want to thank you for taking part of this project, for sharing your insights, your recommendations, your experiences. I hope this interview also benefits you. I think it'll be interesting for the people watching to learn about the company that you work in, and there's an interest, any of them, to contact you, then we can, perhaps an opportunity comes as well. So
Yeah.
We'll let everybody know what company you work in the article that we'll do the summary of the interview. We'll put it there so people can contact you
Perfect.
if there's any interest and opportunities. So I don't know if you have any final words for everyone.
No, I mean, come to Spain, come to learn about us, to have fun, and why not do business? And thank you very much, Rafael. It's been fun. Yeah, and good luck, everyone. So thank you.
Thank you. It is a beautiful country. I recommend people go. And thank you so much,
Yeah.
Thomas, for taking your time. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank
Hasta
you.
luego. Ciao.
Ciao.